This is SW Radio, Audio Channel 4, Solar Wind Multimedia. You're listening to Solar Wind Radio Theater. Solar Wind Radio Theater presents Wake Up Screaming by Ron Schaefer, a.k.a. Harrison Sunhawk.
Inside of a poor farmer's cottage at night, everything is in one room. These are poor and simple people in a rural, rough-hewn setting. There is a fireplace and a wooden table, and a few other pieces of furniture now considered antiques. The occupants sleep in a bed that is not much more than a box mattress in the corner. There's a shotgun over the fireplace. In another corner is a broom and other household tools, as well as a rack for coats and hats. A light bulb hangs over the table. Another standing lamp in the corner. It is 1930. A couple is wrangling under a quilt. In comes Barlow. He is as rough-looking as the cabin.
Mabel, are you awake? It's very cold.
He lights an oil lamp, then goes over to the bed covers.
Mabel, oh, sleep through anything.
He goes to the fireplace and attempts to rekindle the fire. Behind him, two heads pop up from under the bed covers. One, Henry, the man who happens to be in an embarrassing state of undress, attempts to peel himself out of bed. He goes groping for his clothes, boots, and edges towards the door.
Miserable out there. Miserable. There's a car parked down the road. Been there long? I don't know why I'm talking to you.
Barlow rises and Henry dives back under covers. Barlow paces around the house. He finds a ceramic jug.
Still warm.
Mabel, the woman, shakes her head towards Henry, and they both dive down again. With a nod from Mabel, Henry once again tries to peel away. Henry freezes, then continues hugging whatever shadow he can find along the wall to the door. Barlow stands. Henry again freezes. Barlow turns his posterior to the fire and gives his backside a rub. He then spots Henry.
Who are you?
Friend.
Mabel pops up. Barlow spots her, then returns a stare to Henry.
How friendly.
Actually, I'm just passing by.
In your underwear? In the middle of the night? On a night like this?
I was just leaving.
What is this, Mabel? Who is this?
Now, don't get yourself in a stew, Barlow.
Get myself in. What's going on here?
I thought you wouldn't be back for another 3 days.
I'll bet.
Well, I can see you want to be alone, so I'll just...
Just a minute, whoever you are. What's going on?
It's
what?
Well, I thought you wouldn't be home for 3 more days.
Roads closed? Ever hear of bad weather? Now, what is all this?
Look, it was just one of those things.
One of those things? With a married woman? My married woman?
Well, point taken.
Point taken? Is that all you're going to say?
What do you want me to say?
I'll say what nobody else seems to be saying. You're having an affair with my wife, and I'll bet you encouraged it.
I'd say that's about right.
Oh, for Pete's sake, Henry. At least stand up for yourself and me.
It's a fair assessment.
Fair assessment?
Who is this fella?
I work for the government.
He's a census taker.
A what?
I put you in the National Ledger so that we have an accurate reading for voting districts, taxes.
Well, now I have 2 reasons to hate you.
Listen, I'm all done here.
I'll say.
I just showed up to take your wife's census.
In bed? To get a thorough count?
She was the one who started all this.
Oh, you resisted all the way.
Listen, mister, if you didn't leave your wife alone so much.
That's enough out of you.
Look, I don't want no trouble. Just let me get out of here.
But it's so cozy and warm. Do you really want to go out into the bad night air?
All right, leave him alone, Barlow.
Maybe he's got a few cows down the road he wants to write in his report.
Barlow, I said let him go his way.
Maybe he's not done yet. Maybe he hasn't counted all your fingers and toes.
I'm not coming back. I promise.
Barlow, let him alone. You're just making things worse.
I'm making things worse? Pardon me. I wouldn't want to do that.
Whatever you want to say, you can say it to me. He's right, I hardly know him.
Yes, that's much better than if you had taken up with somebody you know very well.
All right. So I suffered a moment of weakness on a cold night.
Had any other moments of weakness?
You. What are you waiting for? Get going.
Henry, still only partially dressed, moved towards the door. Barlow stands aside. As Henry reaches for the door handle, Barlow pulls out his hunting knife from his belt, grabs Henry from behind, and slices the blade across Henry's throat.
What are you doing?
I think he missed that count.
Henry staggers and falls, clutching his throat. Mabel runs to him, but Barlow stands in her way. He points a knife in her direction. She stops and begins to back away.
I've suspected something going on with you for some time. Maybe it's lucky the weather turned bad.
Barlow!
Maybe it's lucky I'm home 3 days early.
Barlow! Barlow, put the knife down. Get away from me.
How many other census takers have you been making a warm fire for?
Barlow!
Do you think you can play games behind my back while I'm gone?
Barlow!
A cellar speakeasy. Patrons are playing cards, drinking out of coffee cups. A bartender serves from a bar that is disguised as some sort of lunch counter. The doctor, Dr. Ingram, enters, elegantly dressed. He signals to the bartender, who nods back. The doctor heads to a private room, off to the side. Lucy, the hostess, sees the doctor from her perch while watching the patrons play cards, and heads over to the bar, where the bartender has set up a tray with what appears to be a pot of coffee and a few cups. Lucy takes the tray with her as she goes to the doctor's private room. The doctor has hung up his coat and hat and is fixing a cigarette into a cigarette holder.
Usual for tonight, Dr. Ingram?
Good evening, Lucy. And what have you got?
Well, a lovely little dish just arrived. Takes the bus from Cicero. Needs money.
How's her dancing technique?
You're here to find out her dancing technique.
No, but it helps.
Cute little number. Not too bright. Just your type.
As always, I accept your recommendation.
Remember, what goes on outside these walls I don't want to know about.
Lucy, I'm surprised at you. I assure you there is nothing seedy going on in my request of meeting your young ladies.
Maybe. Maybe it's just a load of bull. As long as I'm making a buck, I don't care if you marry each one of them. I just don't want to lose employees, and I don't want to read about it in the morning's paper. Pour for you?
No, thank you. I'll do that. Honestly, Lucy, what you must think of me.
I don't think anything, Doc. You're a good customer, and as far as I know, you're a real gentleman around my girls. I'm assuming everything's on the up and up. But if it isn't, I don't want to hear about it. If it isn't, I'd prefer you shop elsewhere. Got enough headaches paying for protection for this place.
Police or otherwise.
Doesn't everybody have a finger in everybody else's pie these days? What do you think?
My tips, I fear, aren't big enough to suit you.
Nobody's are, hun. I can guarantee you that.
Slow tonight?
I'll say
What time do the girls go on?
about a half hour. Got time for a nice tete-a-tete.
You're a newcomer from Cicero's here?
Ready and waiting. I'll go get her.
Barlow enters, looking somewhat disheveled. He goes to the bartender.
Is the man they call the doctor here?
Who wants to know?
I was told the man known as the doctor comes here.
You are?
I am inquiring about using his services.
Maybe he's here sometimes. But you'd better talk to Lucy.
I'll wait.
Not here, you don't. Not unless you're ordering something. There's a depression going on, remember?
Beer.
We don't serve beer around here, haven't you heard?
What then?
This is a coffee shop. We serve all kinds of coffees. Malt coffee, hops coffee, scotch coffee, potato mash coffee, Kentucky coffee.
Hops coffee.
Bartender pours him a drink in a coffee cup. Bolo pulls out a few coins from his pocket and pays him, grabs a cup and sits at a table. Lucy shows up with Therese, a dance hall girl looking unduly innocent, and takes him into the doctor's private room.
Here she is, Doc. This is Therese with a Z. This is the doctor. He wanted to meet you.
Well, Therese with the Z, won't you sit down?
I'll let you get acquainted. I've got business upstairs.
French, or just pretend French?
I'm from Cicero, sir.
So I've heard.
My mother is half French.
So the name is real and not a stage name.
Yes, sir.
You want to go on the stage?
Yes, sir.
All young girls want to be on the stage, so you decided you'd start here at 10 cents a dance.
It's money, sir, and I like to dance.
With these mongrels that come through the door,
Like I say, it's money, sir.
I suppose you have to take it wherever you can find it these days. You don't have to call me sir.
Yes, sir.
A drink?
Yes. Yes.
I know you're supposed to keep the customers happy, but I have a treat. I myself am rather partial to blackberry wine. Ever have it?
No.
I would think someone like you would really enjoy it. Sweet, a bit tart, warms your insides. Try it.
Thank you.
Have a boyfriend, Therese?
Yes. Well, no. I'm kind of seeing somebody.
But not very serious.
I don't know.
I don't know means not very serious. At least not yet. How's the wine?
Very good.
I'm glad. Had a lot of boyfriends in the past?
Some. But I like older men, too.
Nice of you to say, but I'm not interested in you for myself.
No.
Don't be offended. A little harmless flirtation is always something to be enjoyed. I'm a medical specialist in research biology. Do you know what that is? It means I study how living things function.
I thought you were a medical doctor.
Well, I am, but a very special kind of doctor. I like to study how young ladies, such as yourself, react to things so that I can learn how their metabolisms work, how they stay healthy, vigorous.
What do you do with that when you learn it?
Offer it to medical science. Maybe we will learn how to cure certain things with that knowledge, you see?
I guess.
And you could do me a great favor in helping me with my research.
How so?
By letting me observe how you react to things. You would be my assistant. What do you say? I'm quite willing to pay you for your troubles, and I offer you more than 10 cents a dance.
What would I have to do?
How often do you work?
I'm here 6 nights a week now.
Perhaps on your day off, you could stop over at my facility. It has a lovely view. I could show you around a bit, and then we would get to work. Only a few hours. I'll even have a hot meal waiting for you. What do you say?
I'd have to think about it. I need to talk to Lucy.
Of course! By all means, talk to whomever you like. Lucy and I are old friends. I'm sure she'll help us both out. Why don't you take my card and let me know as soon as you can? Here. A little something in advance. We didn't dance, but I appreciate the time.
Thank you. You'll stick around later? I'll see if I can squeak you in a free dance if you like.
That would be most charming.
Sorry to break up the cozy company, but she's got to get ready.
I think we're done for now.
Thank you. I enjoyed the wine.
How old is she?
I'm afraid to tell you. You round up another one?
If you can. I can wait for your roll call, too.
Lucy leaves. The bartender signals to her and waves her over to Bolo.
Friend of somebody?
Huh?
All alone? Need company?
I'm waiting.
Well, we could spend a few minutes waiting together. I'm Lucy, the co-owner. So you live around here?
No.
Passing through. Well, we've got a nice group of girls for dancing. You like dancing?
I never done it.
Well, maybe you just need for someone to show you how. Girls come on board in a little while. It's worth the wait as long as you're stuck here. Dime a dance? I'll throw the first one in free while you're learning. What do you say?
I'm just here to meet somebody.
Well, if you change your mind, call me. Name's Lucy.
Lucy heads to the bar.
Wonder if it'll be an easy take tonight.
The bartender points from Barlow to the doctor to the private room. Barlow takes the hint. Grabbing his cup, goes to the private room where Lucy meets him.
Well, I'll be. Is it the doctor you come to see?
Who is it?
Bedraggled fella. Farmer Jones type. You want to talk to him?
No.
Please, I must see the doctor.
I have no interest in country rubes looking for handouts.
But please, I can pay.
The doctor waves Barlow through.
Pay for what?
I heard you can do things.
Of course I can do things. We all can. I imagine you can accumulate worms just by standing there. What things are you considering?
I understand you can alter a person's appearance.
And what, if I can, what is that to you?
I would be interested in having my own appearance changed.
I can see where your present one isn't doing you an ounce of good, but why should this be a priority with you?
Can you keep secrets?
If you mean, am I willing to take you into confidence as a patient? I am a doctor. This is what I do.
I'm in trouble, Doc.
Why should that come as no surprise? What kind of trouble?
With the law.
Again, you state the obvious. What do you want from me?
If you could alter my appearance some, that might make me less of a target.
It might. It may not keep you out of jail. To make this transition, you said you are willing to pay. What have you to offer for this service? You look like you couldn't afford a bowl of soup.
I have property, a good-sized property, 30-some miles out of town. Here are the deeds to the land. It's good land. I've been farming it for much of my life.
I'm a doctor. What do I want with farmland?
You can sell it. Fetch a good price.
30 miles out of town, you say? Let me see the papers. And you believe this alteration in your appearance will allow you freedom, and to pay for this assumed freedom, you are willing to sacrifice this possession of yours to pay for it?
I am kind of worthless now, with or without it.
Where are you staying?
I don't have a place to stay.
Isn't that a novelty? I have a place where you can stay. You can come back with me tonight. Very well. I accept your offer. Drink?
I have my...
Yes. I do not drink beer. I have another weakness, I'm afraid, especially when I'm entertaining. And we need a witness. Lucy!
Lucy returns. The doctor hands her one of the cups, still on the tray.
We are going to drink a toast.
Well, how lovely. For what?
This roughneck and I have entered into a barter. No need worrying your head over the details. Suffice it to say, we have agreed on terms that are mutually beneficial, and we are simply sealing a deal with a taste of spirits, and with your witness.
Well, that's all right, I guess. To what shall we drink?
To success.
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 I'm afraid I won't have any time to share with your friendly felines this evening. Offer the remains of this carafe to them as my gift, along with my regrets. I believe this chap is in something of a hurry. Be a good girl and call a cab. Will you, please?
Of course. But the girls will be disappointed.
I'm afraid I'm out of town. We've a train ride ahead of us. Not too far. I hate driving the distance myself.
How long will all of this take?
You will scarcely know the passage of time. Questions can be answered on the way. And now, if you are finished with your beverage, shall we go?
I wasn't that thirsty anyhow.
Barlow and the doctor head out of the tavern, the doctor giving the bartender a nod on his exit. The doctor's laboratory, an operating table, lights, medical instruments, glass-fronted cabinets holding an array of pharmaceuticals, dressing screens, stools, a microscope, Bunsen burners, and a pump for anesthesia, and various electrical gadgets. Directly in the back is a rather large screen covering a special enclosed area. The doctor enters. He has removed much of his evening attire and is now wrapping himself up in a white smock. He lays out some linens for his operating table. He places some instruments in a steamer for sterilization. Barlow enters, now wrapped in a white robe, cleaner in appearance than we previously saw him.
Ah, there you are. And shy 3 layers of Cambrian shale, too. You could pass for a human.
A bath can perk one up.
You haven't been perky in years, no doubt. Sit over there.
Barlow sits down in a chair that has 3 small mirrors attached to the back of it. The doctor climbs into a rolling chair and rolls himself around Barlow, examining the man's face and comparing the images in the mirrors. He begins making marks on Barlow with a small grease pencil.
How much change do you want?
I don't want to be recognized.
And you think this will separate you from your past?
Shouldn't it?
Well, if you are running from the law, there's this little thing called fingerprints.
Can you do something about that?
Yes. But I would think there are a host of details left behind at whatever it is you have left behind, and that could still trace you. Trace you to here. Trace you to me. I'm taking a risk myself in dealing with you.
What should I do?
Why don't you work for me? I'll put you up in one of the rooms, give you some work, provide you with a modicum of pay, but you must be willing to stay and not run off on me. I've had that problem before.
What kind of work?
I'm in need of someone to run errands for me from time to time.
Errands?
Someone who is not afraid of doing some gritty work and bringing back supplies. Requires working in the middle of the night. It's like farming. You'll be using a shovel from time to time, earthy stuff.
Farming? In the middle of the night?
I can also use a driver and an assistant. The one I have now is of no use. Well, he may have other uses. I may also need to acquire some female assistants, such as might be found here. But that is my task. You stick to the earthy stuff.
Okay.
If I send you out, I need some assurance you'll be coming back.
How long would I have to stay?
Well, you could stay for as long as you like. As long as I have need for you, and as long as you are working out while here. But I would advise staying at least long enough until whatever heat is on you is off. That duration has a lot to do with what you are running from.
Doctor, my land is good farmland. Should fetch a good price. But I've been struggling. I've barely made ends meet for years, and now this. People are losing jobs, losing money. A year or 2 of bad weather, crops. House still ain't got plumbing, but it is good land. You won't regret it. It'll come back strong. It just needs the right care.
Spare me your woes. I've offered you a position, which I am in need, and your offer of land can come in handy, both economically and otherwise. I have already accepted your offer, if you accept mine.
I guess that would be okay.
Well then, we have an agreement. Sit back. Let me look at you. If I did a little tuck here, fix the brow a bit here, strengthen the cheeks a bit, and maybe gave the neck a bit of a crimp, your own mother would have difficulty recognizing you. And yet it is not that much of an alteration, so that it wouldn't be very difficult of an operation at all. Take a look. What do you think?
I guess so. I can't tell. Do whatever you think is best, Doc.
All right. Come over to the table and lie on your back. Have you ever undergone surgery before?
No.
Have you ever inhaled gas before?
No.
Are you allergic to any medicines?
I don't know. I never took much medicine.
Well, if you did, you'd have found out real fast. All right? I'm going to cover you with a sheet, all but your face, and then I'm going to place these hot towels around you.
While Barlow lays on the table and is covered, the doctor steps aside and puts on rubber gloves, then starts pulling instruments out of his steamer. He swings the anesthetic pump next to Barlow's head and positions the lights.
Am I gonna like the way I look?
Now, beggars can't be choosers. Remember, I can only deal with the material that's given me. I'm not a miracle worker.
I've never had a new face before.
Few have.
If you want to fix the nose and the chin a little, that's okay with me, Doc. The ladies never thought I was any too handsome.
Ladies can be flighty creatures, but I can guarantee you, when I'm through with you, they will have something to talk about.
I'm kind of nervous.
The gas will remedy that.
I've had a lot of people like me come to you.
Depends on what you mean by a lot of people.
You know, people in scrapes. People maybe needing a new identity to get by. What's that?
A hypodermic needle.
What for?
It'll help the gas do a more efficient job and smooth over the after effects.
What after effects? I don't like needles, Doc.
You're a big boy now. You can handle it.
What are you doing?
Strapping you in,
What for?
so you don't run away on me.
I wasn't going to run.
I meant so you don't move. I don't want a sudden jerk on your part to make my scalpel slip while you're off in dreamland.
I'm starting to feel uncomfortable about this entire thing.
Nerves, like you said. That's what the needle's for.
I don't like needles, Doc. I really don't.
There, all done. If you were 10, I'd give you some candy when you came around.
Are you sure this is going to work?
This was your idea, remember? I'm not going to waste my time on you if you're going to get cold feet. We either go through with it or not. I'm all set to operate.
Oh, I suppose I don't have much of a choice, I guess.
I don't know what your choices were before you came to me, but I know what your choices are now. And the answer is no. You don't have much to pick from at the moment.
Am I gonna look okay, Doc?
I must cure you of that habit of calling me Doc every few minutes. But yes, you will look all right. Now, just inhale slowly and deeply and think lovely thoughts of flower petals and hummingbirds.
This stuff smells funny.
It's odorless.
I can smell it.
It's all in your head.
I tell you, it stinks.
It probably thinks the same of you. Now shut up and breathe. Let me hear you count.
Count what?
Count anything. Count to 10 to start with.
1, 2, 3. It still stinks.
Keep counting.
Where was I?
3.
3, 4, 5, 6.
That's it.
7, 8, 9.
That's it, my little sleeping beauty. All the way to dreamland.
10.
Same scene as before. Later, the doctor is seated next to a counter making some notes on a clipboard. Barlow is still on the table, but his head and face are all bandaged up, as are all of his fingertips. Barlow begins to move very slightly, still strapped onto the table.
Chasing fairies, my little cauliflower. You will find speech is one of the later things to return.
The doctor gets up and takes Barlow's pulse.
Hey.
It's me, you oaf. Don't worry, you survived. In another few weeks, you'll be picking cherry blossoms. If there were cherry blossoms around.
Hey.
That's better. Just like a real boy. Do you remember me, Geppetto? Do you remember you? Well, perhaps now is a poor time to ask. I'm going to have you run some errands for me, as soon as you are better. Interesting ones. Not like going to the grocery store, more like helping me find a few extra parts to work with, organs and such. You're going to be in and out of consciousness for a while, and there's a few things you're going to have to adjust to. But I'm a patient man, to a point. I think we are going to make a good team, you and I. Who knows? You might even earn your freedom. Just relax for now. I'm going to have dinner. You shouldn't eat. Sleepy time still. You've had a big day, little man. We'll start again in the morning when all the cobwebs are out of your head. Then we have a to-do list. we must begin on. How thrilling it will be for you to work for me. Enough talk. Nighty-night.
The doctor sets aside his clipboard, peels off his smock, and leaves the lab, turning off the main lights as he does so. Barlow remains on the table, silhouetted in the semi-darkness. He strains for a moment as if he wants to get up, but falls back into place and sleeps. Later, same scene. Barlow is sitting up in a chair. He is in a simple gown. The table he was on before has been pushed to the side. The doctor, again in his smock, is peeling bandages off of Barlow's head. Barlow's hands are also still bandaged up.
You know, it hasn't been long enough. You should really wait an extra day.
But you said they could come off today.
Yes, I did. That doesn't mean you're healed.
I want them off anyway. I'm tired of going around like a mummy.
Poor boy. Such struggles you must endure. You must see what women go through to make themselves beautiful.
Different is all I really care about. Unrecognizable.
You must really be in hot water to want such a change.
Why are my hands fastened to the chair?
No sudden moves. Remember?
But you're just removing bandages.
I'm the doctor. There. Just a little bit more, and voila! You're free.
How do I look?
Like I expected.
Are there a lot of scars?
Hardly any. Didn't I tell you I do good work?
Can I see?
Of course.
The doctor unfastens one hand and puts a mirror in it.
What is this? What's this? Is this real?
Of course it's real. That's you in the mirror. And as you ordered, unrecognizable.
I'm hideous.
I would use the expression altered.
You butcher.
Now, I actually didn't perform much surgery on you. What's done can be easily undone.
What? What do you mean? Undo it then.
Not just yet. See this scar here along the side of your head? That's what I did. There's a master nerve here that services the whole side of your face. There's another on the other side. All I did was utilize a little trick that freezes that nerve, causing the muscles to shut down. Gives you that melted candle look. It did something on the other side as well, freezing the nerve in such a way as to pinch the muscles in a restrictive hold. There's no permanent damage done, and no permanent alteration like you wanted. Another little minor surgery, and both steps can be undone, and you will look as you always have.
But I wanted a permanent change.
Yes, and for what? To hide from the police? I have better uses for you.
But why?
I need someone to be of service to me, to do some chores that may call my methods into question. This ensures me that you will not only do what I wish, but do it in secret.
You've already got everything I own.
You're a criminal. I'm going to rely on a criminal. Only I can put your face to rights. You have to come to me, and even if I give you your old face back, it's a face that police will still be looking for years down the road, even if the case has gone cold. You will have to put your trust in me now, and do what I tell you with all expediency. Left for too long, those nerves and facial muscles will atrophy. In the words your mother may have used when she caught you mugging at her through the kitchen window, your face is going to stick that way someday. I suggest you do what I tell you. You act up, I'll take away your power of speech as well.
I'll kill you.
I think not. The first thing you must do is learn to eat with that twisted mouth of yours. You must be hungry. Let's start on something simple like grapes. Enough narcissism. Time you went back to your room to recover anyway. In the morning, we'll have a long talk about all the wonderful things we're going to do together. Very well. I'll leave you to sit for a while. Maybe that will improve your disposition.
The doctor leaves. Barlow remains seated, still strapped to the chair. He grabs his face with one hand and slumps. inside of Dr. Ingram's home, the foyer and parlor with garden space off to the side. It is well decorated with a flair for the turn of the 20th century Edwardian touches. A fireplace, pictures on the wall. There's a dying fire in the fireplace. Night. A storm is brewing outside. Flashes of lightning can be seen through the curtained windows. A young couple, Bradley and Diane, enter, the wind pushing them in.
Hello?
Anybody home?
Is anybody here?
Hello?
We didn't track in any mud, did we?
I don't think so.
How do I look?
Like a drowned rat.
I meant mud. Any mud on me?
None I can see. Of course, it's a bit dark in here.
Watch it.
What?
No, I thought you had something on your shoe. It's nothing.
Hello? Anybody in? Boy, this place looks deserted.
They have a fireplace in the parlor.
Well, that'll come in handy if nobody minds us starting it up.
Hello?
Well, I'm not going to wait. I'm chilled to the bone.
Bradley, we really should wait until we know for sure whether someone is home.
They could all be asleep.
That's no reason to just take over the place.
Barlow is discovered watching them from the hall. He is dressed in some sort of servant's uniform, but his appearance is greatly altered. His face has greatly contorted into a twisted, asymmetrical mask. Both of the newcomers are startled to see him.
Oh, hello. We called. We didn't know if anyone was in.
The wind kind of blew us in.
The bridge is out down the road, and we were forced off with a damaged wheel. The storm has been quite fierce, you know.
We hadn't intended to intrude.
We hope you don't mind us barging in like this. We're awfully wet.
Soaked through.
I'm sorry?
Barlow turns and leaves.
Strange fellow.
Do you think he's upset with us?
Then he'd kick us out, not turn his back.
You think he's got some sort of illness? He didn't look well.
He didn't look like anything I've seen.
Do you think we should go?
And sit in the car all night, or at least until the storm is over, which could be the same thing. Wait, here he comes.
Barlow returns carrying blankets. He hands one to each of them.
Thanks, old man.
Thank you.
Yes, good idea. Thank you.
Barlow has been pointing to the fire and leaves. Bradley and Diane peel out the topmost things, cover up with the blankets, and sit beside the fire.
Looks like the old boy doesn't mind if we stay.
Awfully nice of him. Do you think he has trouble speaking?
I suppose.
Poor thing. He must be suffering from something. He looks as if he's ailing.
Barlow returns with a tray. On it, a decanter of brandy and a couple of glasses.
Oh, thank you, sir. That's awfully nice of you. It's brandy, Diane.
Yes, thank you very much, sir.
Barlow sets the tray down and leaves. Bradley pours a glass for each of them.
Boy, oh boy. He at least knows how to warm people up inside and out. It's pretty good stuff, too.
I wouldn't know. I'm not an expert at brandy.
Trust me, this isn't the cheap stuff.
What do we do now?
I guess wait until morning. We should ask the old boy if we can use his phone. I assume in a place like this, they've got a phone.
Unless the power lines are down.
Dr. Ingram, in a dressing gown and velvet slippers, appears.
Frightful night to be about, I'm afraid. No, don't get up. You appear to be rather cozy by the fire. Let's see if we can't get a bigger blaze going. I'm Dr. Ingram. This is my home. I see Barlow has taken care of your immediate needs.
Yes, he was rather kind to us. I'm afraid we sort of burst in on you with a little help from the storm.
The door just blew open and we were soaked to the skin.
No need to apologize. I'm rather glad you stopped by. This is a lonely stretch of road, and it's nice to share a bit of company on a night like this. Besides, you clearly need some shelter. There. That should stir things up a bit. Have a blazing fire in no time.
We really appreciate your hospitality. You see, the bridge was out and...
You know, one pays taxes for such services, and the best one can get is slipshod workmanship. That's the third time that bridge has been out within the last 2 years.
It was so dark I didn't notice it until the last minute. I had to swerve and flattened a tire, bent the wheel too. It was all we could do to pull up your drive.
No doubt. You are both all right, I take it.
Oh, yes.
I don't suppose we could impose on you for the use of your telephone.
You are welcome to use it, but I'm afraid the line runs through the same bridge you came across. If the bridge is out, so is the phone line. There's a phone nook just in the hall there. Give it a try.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry to meet you under such unpleasant circumstances. If you don't mind my asking, where are you bound?
Oh, we were heading into Chicago when Bradley... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Diane. That's my husband, Bradley. He's an assistant editor for a newspaper. We were up the coast at a family gathering and overstayed our welcome. When he was called in to help on some last-minute mix-up that had to be taken care of right away, we took a shortcut along the coastal road and wound up here.
In the middle of a most uncompromising storm? Too bad.
He's right. The phone's dead.
Well, problems at work or not, it looks like you are stuck here for the night. I'll be happy to sit you up. I'll have Barlow make up a room for you.
This is awfully nice of you.
Nonsense. It'll give Barlow something to do. He's often bored with just taking care of me. I live alone otherwise. But I'm a research scientist and need a nanny to look after me, or I'll completely forget about myself.
Is he ill or something?
Ah, his appearance. Yes, I brought him here and took him in not only as a charity case, but to cure him. It's some condition that's eating away at his nerves. You've probably noticed he can't speak either. I've managed to slow the process, but I'm afraid his condition is still advancing. Poor fellow. However, he's a good sort. Don't let his looks dissuade you. Wouldn't hurt a fly.
Barlow appears.
Barlow, would you make a room for our guest? They will be spending the night. Oh, and thank you for taking such good care of them.
Yes, thank you.
Barlow bows and exits.
So then, I hope your trip wasn't too urgent. It looks as if they will have to do without you, no matter what.
Looks that way.
Have you eaten? I know it's late, but I could arrange to have something prepared for you.
Oh, no, don't bother.
We're fine.
We don't want to impose on you any more than we have.
It's no imposition. Very well. If you feel satisfied enough, I'll have Barlow make up a small snack tray to place in your room, just in case you get the urge to nibble before retiring.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Is there anything else you require?
No, really, don't go out of your way.
Don't be silly. We enjoy a bit of company. Newspaper man, are you?
Yes. And one who's out of place at the moment, I'm afraid.
Well, if you're not in too much of a hurry before you leave in the morning, you might be interested in some of my work. Might be a good story someday.
Yes, well, I'm afraid it will have to be early, as I have to find a way out of here as soon as possible.
Rest assured, you will have to backtrack, as the bridge won't be fixed anytime soon. And there's the status of your car. I'd offer you a ride into town myself, but our car is in the shop as well. The mechanic we use will first be bringing it back the day after tomorrow. First thing in the morning, we'll see if we can get word out about your predicament and get some rescue operation going. It may still take some time. You might be interested in what I had to show you.
I'll do what I can to oblige under the circumstances.
Good, good. Well, it is late, and that is a rather nasty storm out there. You will want to get out of those wet things as soon as possible. I'll see if I can arrange to have Barlow place something in your rooms you can wear while your own apparel dries out. And now, I myself must retire. Don't let the wind whistling through the cracks in the window panes disturb you. You're quite safe and dry here. It's an old house, but quite sturdy. A solid brick all the way through. Already 70 years old, but meant to last. That brandy looks good. Think I'll snitch a glass myself before bed.
We'd need another glass.
No. There's another bottle in the kitchen. That's for you. Sample as much as you like. Well, good night.
Good night, Doctor.
Pleasant dreams, and thanks again.
Yes, thank you.
And pleasant dreams to you. Storms are only meant to frighten children. Oh, in the morning, I'll have Barlow place a buffet for you in this room. Our kitchen is small and meant for utility. The dining area is fine, but I prefer to breakfast here by the big windows. We have an excellent view of the lake and a handsome garden as well. Whenever we entertain, we always use this room.
Well, thanks again.
Until the morning, then.
Nice fellow.
Thank God for that.
I hope he isn't going to expect me to examine every little knick-knack he tinkers with in his shop and then believe I'll write a story on it. That could be awkward.
Well, you at least owe him a little time for taking us in like this. You don't have to promise him anything. He has been awfully nice, and we did sort of invade his home.
Yes, I know. I shall be civil and respectful. We owe him that.
Do you think it will take us a long time to get back to town?
It just may. First thing I'll have to do is find a phone, a working phone, somewhere in order to find out what sort of emergency at work I am to be chasing after in the first place. It had better be important.
Darling, you were looking for an excuse to leave anyway.
I didn't think your Uncle Harvey was going to imprison us like he did. I wanted to leave an hour earlier.
Seems to me you said, let's wait out the storm.
Once it arrived, yes. I thought we could beat it home before then.
Well, it's apparently everywhere. We'd have run into it no matter what.
I suppose, but we could have found a nice little roadside inn to spend the night instead of chasing after impending doom at work. That'd have been nice. A little romantic spot along the way.
Oh, so that's what you were actually thinking.
Why not? It would be a tremendous relief after Uncle Harvey.
Barlow returns. They suddenly become reserved.
Upstairs? I guess we're ready.
Thank you.
Barlow leads Bradley and Diane out of the parlor and up a flight of stairs. Outside, Barlow is poised in front of a headstone in a graveyard. Shovel in hand, he is digging his way into its holdings. Morning in the doctor's parlor. There are a pair of glass doors, now uncurtained, that open up and lead to the garden behind the large window. A cart has been set up with an English buffet-style breakfast on it. A table near the window has been opened up to accommodate seating. Bradley comes down the stairway in robe and slippers, obviously borrowed, and takes a look at what's available on the main deck. He sniffs around the buffet, pours himself some coffee, goes over to the garden doors, and steps outside into the garden. He sips his coffee and stares up to the sun. Diane descends the stairs, also in borrowed robes and slippers, and reciprocate Bradley's actions. She sees him out in the garden and steps outside to meet him.
Rain's gone.
I thought you were still asleep.
I was.
Your hair's a mess.
Good morning to you, too. I slept on it all night, semi-dry. You're offering the world a view of a cowlick or two yourself.
Sleep all right?
Once I got used to the noise, it was divine. Do they still make feather beds?
Maybe, but I bet they cost.
We should get one. Maybe we can find one at a rummage sale.
I'll let you do the looking.
The house does sound like it had a voice of its own, perched in the wind like this. Woo! Woo! As if it's filled with ghosts.
Now, you weren't scared, were you?
In a feather bed? The roof could have crashed in. I wouldn't have cared.
It's those lake bluffs. Wind comes over the land and drops suddenly when it hits that lake air.
It's beautiful now. I can see why they picked this spot to build a house, whoever did it.
Yeah, well, let's see how beautiful it is when we try to get that car moving in some direction or other.
At least stick around long enough to eat something. It looks like the doctor put up a nice spread.
I guess the paper can wait that long.
They re-enter the parlor and move to the tables and chairs.
Do you remember passing a filling station before we took the coastal road?
I wasn't really looking. All I remember is streaks of rain on the window.
Seems to me there was one near the turnoff. About how far back do you remember that was?
I really don't know, Bradley. I was too anxious to get out of the car and out of the storm.
Well, let's assume the good doctor knows. These look yummy. Some kind of pastry?
Barlow stops in and stands at the hallway entrance.
Oh, there you are, man. Was this all your effort? It's quite a display. Thank you for the trouble.
Yes, thank you. Barlow? That is your name? This is all very good and very welcome.
Barlow creeps in, looking about him as if being spied on.
I'm sorry? I think he wants something.
I think he wants us to leave.
Well, really? Does your master know you're treating his guests this way?
No, wait, I think he's trying to warn us of something.
Is that it? You're warning us about something? What, for heaven's sakes?
The doctor?
What about the doctor?
Dr. Ingram walks in. Barlow quickly straightens up.
Ah, I see you found breakfast. Barlow has been seen to your needs, I take it.
Yes, this is quite good. Barlow prepared it?
Barlow is handy in a lot of ways, but cooking is not one of his gifts. I have a cook who comes in several times a week and prepares dishes for us. Barlow merely reheats and serves. Thank you, Barlow. I'll take over from here. Mind if I join you?
Please.
Barlow bows and leaves.
I didn't know you had such a lovely garden.
Like it? That's another thing I'd like to take credit for. The garden came as it was, albeit a bit weedy, when I bought the house some years ago. I have a gardener come in every so often to keep it in shape. I merely sit back and enjoy it. We could dine out there if you like. It seems warm enough for this time of year.
It's still a bit damp from last night.
Yes, of course.
You have a lot of late-blooming plants.
I have a number of things that bloom all year round. Of course, we do have a hothouse to encourage them.
You have a hothouse?
Just around the corner of the building. I'm surprised you didn't see it from your window.
After last night's storm, I was not encouraged to look out any window, at least until I came down here and saw this.
Then I'm glad we can offer you a sight that pleases in this gloomy season. Well, what's your plan of attack, my good man? How do you plan to remove yourself from your predicament?
Is there a filling station at the junction between the main highway and the coastal road?
Yes, if memory serves me correctly. I don't get out much.
And how far is that from here?
I'm going to say 3 miles, maybe a little bit more. I said we are a bit remote here.
That shouldn't take too long for me to walk up there and get somebody down this way. They should have a phone, too, so I can call into the office.
I actually do have a neighbor closer than that, about a mile from here. I don't know them very well, and I don't know if they would be about. You could try them first. They might have a phone line not hooked up to the bridge cable. There are actually people closer, but on the other side of the river. With that bridge out, you know.
Well, walking sounds like my best chance. You don't mind if Diane stays behind while I'm gone, do you? We'll have to come back this way anyway.
No, of course not. I'm having Barlow press your things. They probably got all stiff and out of shape with the rain. They may even be damp yet.
Thank you, but that wasn't necessary.
Oh, please. Finish your breakfast. We'll help you on your way. And while you're gone, I'll give your wife a bit of a tour.
That would be nice.
As long as everybody's happy.
I'll give that quick tour of my shop, I promise you. I'll get to you when you get back.
All right, then. I suppose I better get going.
Finish your breakfast.
Yes, do please.
I've had enough, and I am rather anxious about getting things in order. I better go change. You think Barlow would be finished with my things?
Barlow is a whiz at many things.
No time like the present.
Don't make a mess of things up there. You're not at home.
I won't.
He will, you know. I'm forever picking up after him.
I'm afraid it's a habit we men have all picked up. I can't imagine what I'd do without Barlow. I'm as much a slob as any you could picture.
You're joking. Your house is so neat.
Upstairs. Here. Again, Barlow. You should see my study. I'm rarely up here. I do promise to show it to you, but I have something better to show you first. You say you like my garden.
It's lovely.
Then I do have something special to show you. Finished?
I believe so.
Come with me. You can take your coffee with you. We're just stepping outside a bit.
All right.
How were your accommodations? Pleasant, I hope.
Wonderful. And that bed, tell me, where did you get it?
It came with the house.
Oh, there's nothing like hunkering down into the folds of a feather bed on a chilly, stormy night to make you sleep like a baby.
I'm glad it met with your approval. And I heartily agree. Here we are.
They step into the garden on the other side of the big picture window. Dr. Ingram stands, waiting for approval.
What?
What do you see?
The lake? The flowers? What do you want me to see?
How well do you know your horticulture?
So, why?
Here, can you tell? Tucked away in this foliage by the window?
An amaryllis?
A very good guess. Looks similar, but it is not.
What is it then?
It's a special breed of flower I've managed to grow myself. But look where it's growing. Outside, in this climate. Topsoil, almost all sand. Underneath, hard clay. Awful soil for plants like this, and too chilly of weather most of the year for such a variety. And it's a perennial.
It's lovely.
Look, it's sprouting vines all the way up the side of the house. They just haven't bloomed yet along here, but I expect them to soon.
This late? This must have something to do with your research.
Yes, go ahead, take a whiff.
Very fragrant.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have warned you about the thorns. I'm still working on those. Did you hurt yourself?
A little puncture.
You've drawn blood. Come back inside. I'll apply a compress.
You needn't fuss.
Well, it is my fault. Here I'm boasting of my accomplishments and neglect to warn you about something as basic as a thorn.
They return to the table in the parlor.
Does it hurt?
Stings a little.
Here. Some of last night's brandy will come in handy.
The doctor soaks a napkin in a splash of brandy from the decanter on the table and tries to apply it to Diane's finger.
You've got a bit of a sliver in there. Hold still.
Ow.
A tiny thing, barely see it. But it leaves its mark. There. Hold that on your finger for a while.
Yes, doctor.
Ha! It wasn't my intention to become your personal physician. I just wanted to show you some flowers.
Bradley re-enters, dressed and ready to go.
It'll take me a couple of hours, I'm assuming. What happened to you?
My fault, I'm afraid. I was showing her some exotic plants I'm growing and forgot to warn her about thorns.
No, it's my fault for not watching what I was doing. How are the clothes?
Well, wrinkled despite Barlow's valiant efforts, but dry. Do I look like I'm in need? I want to attract attention.
Needy enough. Just don't get arrested.
Take care of my wife. Make sure she doesn't grab any more thorns.
She'll have my undivided attention.
Bye. Barlow flagged me down again. Curious fellow. Don't know what he wants.
He's not well, dear. Probably in more ways than one. Be good.
Be back before long. Doctor?
Good luck. We'll be waiting. Nice young man you have there, my dear. Have you tried some of these figs? It's something I grow in the greenhouse. They're excellent. Is something the matter, my girl?
I don't know. I suddenly feel dizzy.
Have a seat. Are you just feeling off balance? Or is your stomach upset as well?
No, just...
Diane faints.
Barlow,
Barlow enters.
take her feet. Help me get her downstairs.
Barlow shakes his head.
Don't argue with me, you imbecile. You want your smile back? Grab her feet.
Barlow reluctantly picks up Diane by the feet, and the two of them carry her out into the hallway and disappear behind the stairway. Later, in Dr. Ingram's parlor, Bradley enters and leans against the door, rubbing his hands over his face in relief. His clothes has been shredded and there are bloodstains all over it. He staggers into the parlor, finds a chair and sits, rubbing his wounds. He looks about him and for the first time notices he is alone.
Diane? Dr. Ingram? Barlow? Anybody in?
Barlow shows up and studies Bradley's condition. He again motions Bradley to leave the house.
Barlow, where is everybody? Get Dr. Ingram. I've had another accident. What's the matter with you, man? Get the doctor. I'm not leaving. I'm in no condition for traveling. Really, old fellow, this is quite uncalled for. Look at me. Diane?
Dr. Ingram enters, once again in his lab coat.
Doctor!
Good heavens, Bradley, you're a sight. Barlow, get a bowl of water, my medical bag, and some towels. Quickly! Don't just stand there.
Barlow leaves.
Where's Diane?
Never mind her. What happened to you?
I stopped off at that neighbor you recommended, only I found out they aren't so neighborly. They keep a pack of Dobermans on their property. It would seem that dogs don't like visitors.
Oh, sorry. I forgot about that. But were they loose? Are they chained up? Wasn't there anyone to stop them?
Apparently not. Never even got a glimpse of a human being.
I'm terribly sorry, young man. It's my fault for sending you there. You should have just kept going down the road.
You're too late now.
Were you bitten?
Leg and arm?
Yes, I see. Barlow, where's that water? I know those dogs have had their shots. That's at least one worry I can take off your mind. Let me help you out of that coat.
Barlow shows up with a bowl, bag, and other necessities. The doctor starts treating Bradley's wounds.
I have some antiseptic. This may sting a bit.
Ah! Oh!
You do have some nasty bites on you. Afraid it'll take some stitches and some medication. I'll do a quick bandaging now, and then take you down into my lab for further treatment. Here, put some pressure on that leg.
Where's Diane?
Oh my goodness, Bradley, didn't you see her?
See her? No.
Sometime after you left, she decided to follow you.
Follow me?
I showed her around the place a bit, and then she said it was turning into such a nice day. She decided to go for a walk and see if she could catch up to you.
Why would she do a silly thing like that?
I'm sure she was only planning to go so far. And if she couldn't find you, she'd turn around and come back. I would expect her back at any moment. Sure you didn't see her?
No, of course not. Why would I be asking?
You don't think she went over to the other house, do you?
My God, let's hope not. I better find her.
Wait a minute. Sit down. You're not going anywhere. I'll send Barlow out to look for her. I assumed she'd stick to the main road and wouldn't wander off to pick flowers or anything.
There aren't any side roads or anything between here and there, are there?
No.
Good. I spent some time climbing through the brush to get back.
So I've noticed.
Maybe that's how I missed her.
She could have gone to check out the bridge, too.
You never know with that girl.
Barlow, go down the highway, both directions, but try the neighbors first. See if you can find her. Don't argue with me. Go!
Barlow reluctantly exits out the front door as the doctor digs through his kit.
He can be so ornery sometimes.
What's that?
A sedative. Just to help you relax. It won't put you to sleep.
I don't like needles.
Nobody does. But I want you calm, not agitated, if I'm going to work on you. And you're not going to help yourself or Diane by squirming and fussing and fuming while I patch you together. Barlow will find her, and I myself will go out and look as soon as I put you to rest. We'll take care of her, but first let's care for you.
I'm afraid we're becoming something of a burden to you.
Better me than anybody else. I'm equipped to handle it. There. That should start to take effect soon. Let's get you downstairs and onto a cot before your knees are too wobbly to take the steps.
The doctor helps Bradley to his feet, allowing his wounded guest to lean on him as they head to the hallway and down into the cellar. Barlow appears in the window.
I seem to be having a run of bad luck, Doctor.
No, I would say you are having a stretch of good luck. You've found me to help you out of your woes. Without me, that would be bad luck.
Barlow leans in to watch them through the pictured window. A dark cellar, apparently once set up to harbor wine bottles. There are several large kegs side by side. In the center is one holding Bradley. Bradley is crumpled into a heap on the bottom of the keg. He wears something akin to a nightshirt. but his bandages are still fresh. He is asleep. Bradley wakes up. He is cramped, stiff, headachy. He rubs his eyes and tries to make out where he is. He taps the side of the keg, tries to stand, and only goes so far. Strains to peek out the random gaps in the keg.
Hello? Hello? Is there anybody there? Where am I? Hey? Anybody? What am I doing here? Where is this? Where the hell am I?
He continues to strain to see his surroundings, then plops himself down at the bottom of the keg. He examines what he is wearing, then his bandages. A wave of recognition comes over him, and he presses himself against a gap in the keg.
Hey! Dr. Ingram! Doctor! Diane? Diane, are you out there? Barlow? Hey, anybody! What is this place? Where am I? What am I doing here? Doctor! Somebody let me out! Hey! What the hell? Who's out there? What's going on out there? Who's there? Help! I'm in here! Help! Help me!
Through the gap in the keg, he glimpses other people in other kegs. All have had their heads partially shaved, and a sizable scar on them, indicating some type of lobotomy has taken place. He slumps back down in the keg. Barlow enters, pushing a wheelbarrow. In it are various human body parts, nearly spilling over the sides. He is heading towards a storm door that has a wooden plank placed over the steps as a kind of ramp. Dr. Ingram enters behind Barlow, wearing his lab smock and rubber gloves.
Just a minute. Let me see that before you bury them again.
Bradley raises himself up and looks through his peephole. Barlow turns and the doctor picks through the barrel like a shopper going through a bargain bin.
No! They're all spoiled. There's nothing here worth saving. Dispose of them. And when you come back, get rid of the girl. She's proven to be worthless. Actually, we can probably get rid of all of them. I had better material to work with.
The doctor exits. Barlow goes up to the ramp and out the storm door with his wheelbarrow. Bradley hunkers down, pondering what all this means, then looks about him trying to find a way out. He pushes and shoves on the lid and various boards, but nothing seems to give way. Barlow returns without wheelbarrow. He pulls out a stepladder and goes to one of the barrels. He unlatches the lid and from inside, yanks out a girl from the bar, Therese. She is not much more than a vegetable and has been greatly mutilated. Bradley watches as best he can from his peephole as Barlow stares forlornly at the girl, lying in a heap into his arms. He pulls her down the ladder and lets her fall to the floor. He kneels next to her and pets her gently, offering a whimper of his own. Having heard something from Bradley's keg, he turns, setting aside the girl, and looks into it. Bradley huddles himself on the floor of the keg. Barlow, being able to see a bit inside, sees Bradley has moved and taps on the keg. He puts a finger to his lips to indicate silence. Bradley, believing that Barlow wants to help, repositions himself in the keg and stares out at Barlow.
Barlow! What's going on? What happened? What am I doing here? Where's Diane?
Barlow again gestures for silence and retrieves a stepladder. He puts it next to Bradley's keg, climbs it, and unlatches the lid. Bradley peeks out.
What is all this? Why am I here?
Barlow motions Bradley out of the keg. The former steps down and allows the ladder to pass. Barlow creeps over to the storm door and opens it, letting the light burst in. Bradley follows him.
Where am I to go? Is this the doctor's house? Where's Diane?
Barlow frantically motions Bradley to run.
I can't leave without Diane.
Barlow forcefully shakes his head and motions Bradley to go. Barlow taps his own chest and points somewhere in the house to indicate he would retrieve her.
But where is she? What happened to her? What's going on here?
Barlow tries to push Bradley out the door, who reluctantly complies. The doctor suddenly appears and, pulling a small electronic box from his pocket, flips a switch on it. Barlow crumples to his feet. Bradley clasps him to see what is the matter and looks to see the doctor. He turns to run.
You wouldn't get very far, I'm afraid. You see, those dogs are actually mine.
Dr. Ingram! What the hell is going on here? Am I being kept prisoner here? For what purpose? Where's Diane? What is the meaning of all this?
Oh, so many questions.
Where are we? Where are my clothes?
You're in a storage facility. Remember that tour I was going to give you of my shop? This is part of it. Well, the holding bin. These barrels are where I store my test samples.
Samples?
Test subjects. Those that I need for my work.
Test subjects? You mean like that? Like her?
I'm afraid so. Poor creature. I had high hopes for her. Young enough, active female, strong hormonal responses. The older ones don't work, you know. Neither do the men, except as donors.
Donors? My God. What have you done with Diane?
She's fine. She's in the other room. You're not going anywhere on your own.
Barlow, recovering, starts to rise.
You stupid slug! Trying to let my best specimens go? Don't know why I trusted a country bumpkin. Forgot about the little implant, didn't you? Go on, get up!
What did you do to him?
A harmless little coercion device. It keeps my staff on their toes. Assist our guests into the lab.
Lab?
I do research on nerves, brainwaves, and electrical impulses within tissue. Sometimes that work carries over into cosmetic features of the skin, which has given me something of a reputation as a plastic surgeon. But it's brains and nerve responses I'm interested in.
What do you plan to do with me?
The best way to find out about something is to see from the inside out. It would make a very good story for your paper, don't you think?
You experiment on people. You're crazy. You expect a newspaper story to exonerate you? Make you rich? Make you famous?
Oh, there's that word again, crazy. Every time somebody doesn't understand someone right away, that poor sod is crazy. I thought you might have a more open mind. As for your newspaper story, I don't give a hoot about that. I simply want some help in developing an accurate account of my work, which I will self-publish when the time comes. My obligation is to medical science, not to fame.
Medical science? By killing people?
Human research is expensive, and one can run out of cadavers and condemned prisoners in an awful hurry. I only take volunteers. Of course, it does involve some coercion.
Coercion? And Diane?
You won't get to see her by shouting. You must cooperate. Well, come on. Do you want your wife back or not?
Under what conditions do I get her back?
We shall see, my young friend. We shall see. Bring it. I might have some use for it after all, if there's any life left in it.
The doctor aims Bradley in the direction of the next room. Barlow picks up the rumpled Therese lying on the floor like a discarded rag doll and carries her gently with him. He stops and looks about at the kegs for a moment, then turns and exits with the girl in his arms. Inside Dr. Ingram's lab, the people from the kegs march into the doctor's workspace. Diane lies unclothed on a table in the center of the room, but covered by a sheet. She wears some sort of surgical-style skullcap over her hair. Nearby is a man strapped into a chair with an IV tube in his leg, the other end of which is tied to Diane's leg. The man has no arms, and his mouth has been sewn shut.
Diane!
Meanwhile, Barlow, upon entering, places Therese in a seat off to the side.
She can't hear you. She's asleep.
What have you done to her?
The same as I did to you. Put her to sleep. Nothing more. Have a seat.
At the doctor's signal, Barlow grabs Bradley and straps him into a chair.
Let go of me!
Now, behave. After all, we're all family here.
What sort of ridiculous, sinister game are you playing here, Ingram?
Ridiculous? Sinister? Well, I like that. After letting you come in out of the rain?
Barlow finally has Bradley strapped in. The doctor gets out another syringe. He signals to Barlow, who then uses a large leather strap to bind Bradley's mouth.
Listen here, exactly what do you think you're doing?
It's much more pleasant when working in a quiet atmosphere.
The doctor injects a serum into Bradley's arm, then goes to a console that is equipped with an array of electronic instruments.
Barlow, would you mind connecting the cables to the terminals?
As Barlow does so, the doctor heads over to the table on which Diane is lying. He swabs her temple with some kind of mercurochrome substance.
Now, let's see, my pretty guest. If you would be the kind of subject I would hope you would be. Not like all my other failures.
He connects the IV tube to her leg, the other end of which is hooked into the armless man. The doctor then returns to the console. Barlow trips over the IV.
Idiot! Can't you watch what you're doing? Go on, clean it up. I'll have to get another bottle of plasma myself. I don't trust you.
The doctor steps through a door into what looks like a refrigeration chamber. Barlow quickly looks over Diane and tries to wake her. The armless man watches Barlow. Not having any success, he dashes over to Bradley and tries to shake him awake. He loosens Bradley's straps, gives him another quick shake, then heads back to the mess on the floor, just as Dr. Ingram re-enters, carrying another plasma bottle.
Well, hurry up. Hurry up. What's taking you so long?
Barlow scurries to reset the IV crane, then dashes to mop up the mess on the floor. The doctor resets the IV, making sure the connections are right.
Finish with that mess, will you? We've got work to do.
Bradley finds himself coming around, but he is very groggy. The doctor looks over his machine. Diane begins to stir, and upon waking, sees herself strapped onto the table with the armless man hooked up to her, staring at her. The doctor turns to her. Bradley is roused somewhat from his stupor. Barlow is pushing the mop and pail off to the side, trying not to be noticed, and while the doctor is distracted, he slips away.
Awake, are you? Most unfortunate.
What is this? Dr. Ingram!
I was hoping to spare you any unnecessary trauma. It raises havoc with your nervous system.
What am I doing here? What's happening? Who is that?
You're helping in research, my dear. You're advancing science.
What are we doing here?
Bradley!
You too? I gave you a big enough sedative to knock you out for hours.
What is Diane doing?
You're helping me with my work, both of you.
Get me out of here!
I'm afraid I can't do that, my pretty. I've waited for some time for some fresh blood, and now you two are going to supply it. If it weren't for that clumsy fool... Barlow! Where are you? Barlow!
Barlow returns. The doctor hits him with a rod from the table.
Oh, what are you doing skulking about? You stay here when I need you. You want your face fixed or not? If these people work out, I won't need you anymore. You'll be free to go.
Barlow shakes his head. He points to the armless man.
What? Afraid you'll end up like him? Why should you? I perfected my work since then.
Barlow shakes his head again. He makes a slashing motion with his hand.
Nonsense! Why should I want to dispose of you? You'll be perfectly free to go.
Barlow again shakes his head. He points to his mouth.
I can restore your voice.
Barlow shakes his head. He points at the armless man, then back at himself. He grunts and waves his hand around the room, as if expostulating to a crowd.
May I remind you, you have a criminal record. You're not inclined to tell anybody about what you've seen here, what you've been doing here. You'd be considered an accessory, you know.
Accessory to what?
Quiet, you, newspaper man. You'll get all the story you want. In fact, you'll be the story.
The Barrow people, starved, crippled, confused, and medicated, come lumbering into the lab from the other room.
Barlow! You let them out! I'll hang you for this!
The doctor looks about and grabs his electrical box. Barlow runs after him and tackles him. The armless man tries to wiggle off his table. Bradley discovers that he is somewhat free and tries to pull himself out of his chair. The doctor succeeds at turning his remote control on and gives everyone a jolt, which stops them all in their tracks. But Barlow manages to hang on. Barlow ends up biting the doctor's hand, and Ingram smashes the device into Barlow's head. Barlow falls. The barrel people start to rouse themselves. The armless man has managed to get off the table, ripping himself free of the IV, and heads towards Dr. Ingram. The others begin to follow suit. Bradley falls out of his chair. Diane stays huddled up on the table. The doctor runs to a cabinet drawer and pulls out a pistol.
My beautiful work destroyed! My failures. I should have destroyed them years ago. Where do you think you're going, my boy?
You're crazy. I'm going for police.
I think not. I'm not done with you. You're going to help me. You're in no condition to go running down the road with those rubber legs of yours.
What do you want with us?
A little assistance. How am I going to accomplish this? You, get on that table.
No,
I only need you to live long enough to assist her.
I'm not moving.
Yes, you are.
The doctor shoots Bradley in the foot. The doctor hoists the wounded and groggy Bradley onto the table and throws a strap over him.
You are all such idiots. You will not prevent me from finishing my work when I'm this close. This close!
He starts strapping the IV equipment on him.
All I need from you is a sample. Just a sample.
Let us go, please. What can you want from us?
You, my dear, you. What can I want from you? It turns out practically everything. Ugh! Your stupid husband's stupid foot is bleeding stupidly over everything. Just a moment.
The doctor goes and prepares some bandages for Bradley. He returns and applies a tourniquet for the leg, yanks off the shoe, and wraps a quick and none too tidy bandage around the foot.
It turns out it responds best to female hormones. I don't know why, but I need a steady supply of them. I may even need to remove them to keep them isolated for further use. I've gotten enough plasma out of that other poor sot to keep you in comfort. So lucky he was your blood type. Have you any idea how hard it is to find living tissue to work with?
What are you talking about?
I need certain hormones to keep the brain tissue active so I can supply its memory. It would have been better even if you had been pregnant, but beggars can't be choosers. For some reason, men don't supply enough to keep it working properly. I need a female of childbearing age. It doesn't seem to like anything else.
It?
The doctor finishes his task and goes to the back where the curtains hang. He pulls aside the curtain, revealing a large electrical device that keeps a human head floating about it and a large glass of bubbling liquid. A number of tubes and wires connected to it.
What are you screaming for? It's perfectly harmless.
What are you doing?
My dear, the human brain is the greatest machine ever invented. It has the memory capacity to store all the books in the library. It can route subway trains and regulate traffic lights at the same time. Translating human brain power into machine power, it's possible to run whole cities on the force of just a few heads, removed from noble donations or former convicts who no longer need them. Once their memories are erased, it's a fresh slate, ready for some more work. The first trick was erasing the memory. The second trick is installing new functions. The first part has not been perfected, but it's pointless without showing the second can be done. Only the damn thing wants female hormones for some reason. Probably due to those damn ovaries of yours. It shouldn't make any difference, but it does. I haven't been able to isolate the problem yet. Meanwhile, it's dying. And none of this riffraff was reusable. No, I need you, my dear. And whatever supplemented samples I can take from our happy-go-lucky Bradley here. I may even need that girl for some organ donation as a boost. Barlow, prepare that. Why am I talking to that useless traitor?
The doctor goes over to the chair where Therese is still seated. He pulls her over to the table where Diane is lying and parks her absently for further use, then picks up the syringe.
What are you going to do to me?
Let's start with some blood and some lymph fluid. We'll work our way up from there.
No! Let me go!
Easy, easy. You've worked yourself into such a state. I've got to wait until all that adrenaline filters out now. There, time for a nice nap. And how are you doing?
Must get help.
I'm afraid the wound is making the drug take a stronger effect, but a little extra won't hurt.
He prepares yet another syringe. While his back is turned, Barlow gets up, picks up a flask, and smashes it over the doctor's head. The doctor falls to the floor. Barlow throws the doctor in front of him and strangles him. Barlow hoists himself to his feet, shuffles over to Bradley, and unstraps him. Bradley flops to the floor, still wincing in pain from his foot. Barlow goes over to Diane and unfastens her. He unhooks her from the IV and sends it scattering across the floor. Barlow then goes over to the machine with the floating head. He pulls the wires and circuits from it. Barlow manages to stagger and crawl back to the girl rumpled in the chair. He pets her tenderly, but she falls limp in his arms. He begins to weep quietly as Bradley makes his way, half stumbling, half crawling, over to Diane's table. Bradley pulls himself up onto Diane's table.
Diane! Diane!
Barlow collapses from where he is and falls over Therese, dead.
Bradley?
Bradley pulls Diane up, holding her against him.
Diane!
Wake Up Screaming by Ron Schaefer, a.k.a. Harrison Sunhawk. Michael Davis played Dr. Ingram. Heather Jane Farr was Diane and Therese. Ronald Krauss was Barlow. Tammy Verba was Lucy and Mabel. Ron Schaefer was Bradley, the bartender, and Henry, the census taker. Guang Nguyen was the narrator. The play was directed and produced by the author. He also did the music and sound mix. The script is copyrighted by the author, and the production is copyrighted by the author and Solar Wind Multimedia. The play is listed in the author's first anthology of horror plays, subtitled Homages, and printed by Solar Wind Press. The play is an homage to the Hollywood horror films of the 1930s. Wake Up Screaming is an adaptation of a stage play by the author for audio transmission. Persons wishing to produce the play for stage or other medium should contact Solar Wind Multimedia. This is a presentation of Solar Wind Radio Theater for Solar Wind Radio. Reproduction is by consent of the company. This has been Solar Wind Radio Theater. This is SWR, Solar Wind Radio.